Not sure what you should prioritize when it comes to searching for your wedding venue? By the end of this video, you will have a checklist of wedding venue priorities to help you to tailor and fine-tune your wedding venue search. For the best uncensored wedding planning advice during your wedding planning journey, make sure that you hit the notifications bell and subscribe to our channel so you can be notified every single Tuesday when we upload a new video. We have helped dozens of couples to clearly outline their wedding planning priorities, saving them time, money, and wedding planning overwhelm. And now it's your turn. Before we dive into the video, there is one key piece of advice that we want you to take on board. Do not pick too many priorities. I advise that you pick no more than 5 and make 3 of those 5 your top priorities. Put them in order of priority and try and just stick to those 3 when you're searching for wedding venues. Within this video, we are going to list 6 of a list of 13 wedding venue priorities that we have identified, and you can download the full list of 13 priorities in a link in the description box below. But for now, let's focus on the 6 and dive straight in. Your venue style will just dictate the backdrop for your wedding. So if you have a theme in mind for your wedding, then you definitely want to start searching for wedding venues which align with that theme. So if you have a rustic outdoor theme, teepees, barns, a definite yes. Castles, hotels, a definite no. So you'll see straight away how your theme and your wedding venue align. And the reason why it's important is because the amount of money you have to spend bringing that rustic theme to life in a venue that lends itself like a teepee or a barn is a lot less. On the flip side, if you haven't thought of a theme, do not stress about this detail. A lot of couples do not have a theme until later on in their wedding planning. What you will find is that your wedding venue will then dictate the theme. So if you haven't thought of a theme, then look to your wedding venue to give you inspiration and work from there. If you are a huge foodie and you know the caterer that you want, then you can get that caterer to tell you which venues they are attached to. They will be able to let you know which venues they are an approved supplier to, and so you can look at that venue list and see whether or not any of those venues meets with the additional priorities that you have outlined for your wedding venue. If you found what you feel is the perfect space and you're considering booking a venue, but food is a huge priority for you, the first thing you need to do is ask the venue for their recommended supplier list, and if you have to use a caterer on that recommended supplier list. Generally, on recommended supplier list, the one thing that is non-negotiable is a caterer. And a really good wedding venue will have an eclectic mix of caterers who can meet the needs of every single couple, no matter what their cultural background, what their food preferences are. So they'll have European food, they'll have African cuisine, they'll have kosher food caterer, they'll have cuisine which will meet everybody's palate. Now, those caterers are on there because they have gone through a process, which means that they know the venue like the back of their hand. They have worked there before, the venue has approved them, they're aware of the rules and regulations of the venue, and so it makes it a lot easier for you to work alongside them within that space. Now, do understand that sometimes this will mean that you are restricted, but have a food tasting. A food tasting will completely put your mind at ease, and it gives you the opportunity to tailor the catering to your palate. So if, for example, you have something which is slightly on the spicy side, you can ask them to reduce the spice or make a mild version of that. If it's too salty or there isn't enough salt, at that point you can speak with the chef who will tweak the menu, the recipes, in order to match your food palate. So always sample. Do not gamble with the food if this is a key priority for you on your wedding day. Your location is going to be defined by your personal preference, your connection to the area, and your circumstances. So whether or not you have a huge budget or a small budget, that will define where you will be looking for your wedding venue. But when searching for your wedding venue, if this is a key priority, make sure that you search by location. Now, we've mentioned Coco Wedding Venues before as a directory, and they are a great resource for you to go to and find the exact location and search for your wedding venues by the exact location. If you are looking to have a wedding in a location which is outside of your normal area and outside of the area of the majority of the guests that will be in attendance, you need to make sure you take into consideration that you will have to ensure your communication with your guests is on point. You will need to make sure that if it's in a weird location or a location where the postcode sometimes doesn't match, you make your guests aware. And the reason why that's super, super important is that your guests' wedding day experience will be ruined if they get really, really, really miffed at trying to find your wedding venue because the directions that have been provided to them were not accurate. Again, we've done a whole video on the things that your guests will notice and the things that your guests will hate. So make sure you go and check out that video to get more information on how you can swerve some of those pitfalls. But again, location. If location is a key priority for you, start your search for your wedding venue by your location, and ensure if the location isn't close to you and your guests that you also look into things like overnight accommodation and the distance that they will have to travel to make sure that all of your guests are fully informed. Comment below and let us know your key wedding venue priorities. Timing is everything. When you are looking for your wedding venue, make sure you take into consideration the duration of the hire. If partying until 2 o'clock in the morning is a key priority for you, then this is definitely one of the things that you want to list in your top 3. When you go to speak with wedding venues, they will give you the time that you have access to the venue. You need to confirm with the venue whether or not the access time is extended for vendors and suppliers to get into the venue and also for them to exit the venue. So if a venue says that you will be able to hire the space from 10 till 12, it might be that you have access from 9 a.m. to set up, which is just an hour, and it might be that you have until 1 a.m. to leave. So this will have an impact on the time that you turn off the music, the time that your last drink is served at the bar, the time that your vendors have to be ready and waiting outside so they can dive straight in and set up. It will also have an impact on the cost of your hire if you have to have additional hours to ensure that your suppliers can get in and set up as they need to. Confetti is a conversation that definitely needs to be had. A lot of the time it is assumed that a venue will allow you to throw confetti. So whether you're having a civil ceremony at a venue or they have a chapel attached, you will assume that you will be able to have that great, iconic, traditional confetti moment. Not all the time. So a lot of venues within the UK will say to you that you need to use biodegradable confetti, which means that it is safer on the environment, and there are some great companies that provide great variations of biodegradable confetti. Or they will state to you that you cannot have confetti anywhere at all, not whatsoever. Now bear in mind, like I've said previously, most of the venues will ask you for a deposit when you make the booking. So you've paid £10,000 for the venue and you've given them a £2,000 deposit, which is refundable after you have your event at their space. Now, if you decide to throw confetti and it states clearly in the terms and conditions that confetti is not supposed to be used, you are at jeopardy of losing all or some of your deposit for them to clean up the confetti that you have thrown whilst using that wedding venue. So confetti, if it's a huge priority, make sure you ask before booking a venue whether or not you will be able to have that confetti moment. It might be that you can negotiate something with the wedding venue if they are quite strict on this, or be able to have a confetti moment within a specific area of the venue. Either way, have that conversation before rather than afterwards to save yourself a huge chunk of your wedding deposit. Don't underestimate your numbers. Some of our couples are really flexible when it comes to their numbers if it means that it doesn't impact on their wedding vision. So we've had a couple in the past who had 200 guests and they cut that down to 120 guests to allow them to have the layout that they required for their wedding venue. Now, if one of your key priorities is to ensure that your vision is upheld, it may be that you will be able to cut down your wedding guest list. If this is not the case, you need to make sure you don't underestimate your numbers. When speaking to your wedding venue, if this is one of your key priorities, make sure you ask them what the capacity is at the venue for the ceremony and for the wedding reception. In some cases, wedding venues will have a smaller capacity for the ceremony and a larger capacity for the wedding reception, including wedding breakfast, your evening meal, and again, another capacity for evening guests. So make sure you clarify with your venue how much space you have for each segment of your wedding day so that you can ensure that you're inviting the right number of guests and save yourself the embarrassment of anyone turning up and there not being space to accommodate them. Now you know of 6 of the 13 priorities that we have outlined for your wedding venue to help you to identify the perfect wedding venue for you. Now we would recommend that you get your family and friends involved, give them your top 3 priorities and ask them to search for wedding venues within a specific location which meets the criteria of those 3 wedding venue priorities. Now once they've sent you loads of suggestions, you and your spouse-to-be only will shortlist those suggestions and look further into whether or not they are suitable for you and your wedding day. Don't forget to download all 13 priorities to identify what is important to you, and don't forget that if there's something that isn't listed on there which you see as a key priority, make sure that you add it. You do not have to stick religiously to this list, but it will give you a really good foundation of where to start when trying to think about what is important to you and your spouse-to-be for your wedding day. If you want to join a community of like-minded wedding planning couples just like you, we are going to launch our Facebook group at the end of this month. This will allow you to get free wedding planning advice from us directly, ask questions which are applicable to you and your wedding journey, and also communicate with a community of other wedding planning couples who are in the same boat. Look in the link in the description box below to get a direct access to our email address and add your name onto the list so that we can notify you as soon as the group is open and ready. Check out these 2 videos next on the priorities which are applicable to your wedding aesthetic and also your personal experience and the experience of your guests. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel and share with other wedding planning couples on their wedding planning journeys.